Every Which Way But Loose was released in 1978. It is directed by James Fargo and it stars Clint Eastwood and Sondra Locke in their third film together, as well as Geoffrey Lewis. It follows the central character of Philo Beddoe, played by Eastwood, and Orville, played by Lewis, who are best friends who just kind of stumble through life. Throw into the mix this character, this country singer, played by Sondra Locke, who does some of her own singing here in the film. And yeah, you've got a bit of an oddball comedy that seems to go everywhere and nowhere all at the same time. There's no real story here, is the problem with this film. So I have a lot of great memories of watching this film as a kid, which actually quite surprises me because there's some rum things in here for kids to watch, to be honest. But hey, it was the 80s, man. Back when I watched it anyway. But yeah, I used to watch this with my brothers and my dad quite a lot, and we used to get a real kick out of a lot of the stuff with Clyde, the orangutan. I remembered Clyde being in this a lot more, to be honest. An orangutan who is a central character's best friend, who goes around with him drinking. He's like a drinking buddy and helping him out, protecting him from Nazi bikers and whatnot. Not that he needs protection because he's a bit of a fist fighter as well. So he goes around doing these fist fights for money. If that sounds like it's a bit all over the place and that it's not really clear as to what the story is, that's the film. These two guys just stumble from one situation to another, and as a result, they get on the wrong side of a Nazi biker gang, as well as the cops. Some cops just, take a disliking to them over something and then proceed to follow them across country to try and bring them down, but never quite can because they're not smart enough and they're not strong enough. They're not skilled enough. The reason for the travelling across country is that this character of Philo Beddoe, Eastwood's character, is trying to find this woman played by Sondra Locke. So they have a romance at the start of the film, but she's apparently in an abusive relationship and gets dragged away with this abusive boyfriend. And Eastwood goes after him. He's gonna win her back. He's gonna get her back from the boyfriend, and that's it. There's nothing else to report in regards to story. Like I say, it's just a bit of a mess. Your enjoyment of this film will hinge on whether you like each episode of the episodic nature of this movie. Because like I say, they go from one town to another, they get up to some hijinks, and then they move on. And you either like the particular section of the film you're in at any given moment, or you don't. Now, for me, there are quite a few sections in this that feel a little bit too tongue-in-cheek, a little bit too silly, a little bit too slapstick, where I'm just kind of like, all right, okay. I understand why I enjoyed it as a kid, but as an adult, maybe not so much. But the characters are fun. Even if some of the situations get silly, I still enjoy the characters. I like Eastwood. I like Geoffrey Lewis in this. Geoffrey Lewis is quite funny. They're a good pairing, a bit of an odd couple to say the least. And once again, I like Sondra Locke. There's some nice surprises towards the end in terms of where they go with the characters. Once Eastwood's character meets up with Locke at the end, catches up with her and declares his undying love, and it goes somewhere that we're not used to seeing, I don't think, in movies. Usually the guy would rescue the girl from the abusive boyfriend, whatever. It doesn't go there. It goes somewhere else, and you're kind of left thinking, okay. You could kind of see it coming. It doesn't completely come out of the blue, but the fact that they do go there is like, it breaks that sense of cool that has kind of followed Eastwood throughout his career up till this point. This is kind of a point where all of a sudden all of his cool, all of his charm doesn't mean a thing once you come up against someone who doesn't really care about any of that stuff. So that was interesting to see. It was probably the most interesting part of the film. It's like a bit of an emotional gut punch for that character. And like I say, I like the character. I enjoy watching this character. So I feel that as an emotional punch at the end. It's just, I wish we'd have had that within the framework of a story that actually felt like it had a proper narrative that was going somewhere, rather than just random events that needed to happen in order to have running time so that we could then have what we get at the beginning and what we get at the end. It just feels like everything sandwiched in between is just there for the sake of being there. It's entertaining, but it's all a bit meaningless. It's kind of down the middle, really, this. I think a lot of nostalgia comes into play, for sure. But it's just, yeah, it's fun. It's a fun ride. If it comes to going back and watching an Eastwood movie, this probably isn't going to be the one that I rush to. But I can't help but still have something of a soft spot for it, despite its flaws. So, yeah, it's a good film. It's not a great film. It's definitely a product of its time. You can look at it and think, yeah, that's how it was back then. That's the way people made movies. Every Which Way But Loose. Let me know what you thought about it if you've seen it. Leave your comments down in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this review, and until next time, cracking.